A little scoop here for LBC because, little known, a new political party has been set up in Islington. It's been set up in Islington South. That's the constituency of Emily Thornberry, the shadow Foreign Secretary, who is the next door neighbour to the Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn. The party is called the United Progress Party. It's founded by a high-powered barrister called Flora Page. I spoke to her earlier, and this is what she had to say. Another sign of the disillusionment in Jeremy Corbyn's own Islington backyard comes with the formation of a new political party. It's called the United Progress Party, and it's been formed by an Islingtonian, if I can call her that, Flora Page, a lawyer, former member of the Labour Party, whose family has a long history with the Labour Party. Flora Page joins me now. Flora Page, why have you felt the need to establish your own political party?
2016 was obviously a year of tremendous political upheaval, and Her Majesty's opposition are simply not taking their role and performing their role in the way that we need them to.
How can you do it better?
It's about making sure that the views of ordinary people are being put into effect, and the reality is that the people are just not with Corbyn's Labour Party on the vast bulk of what they want to do. And we need to make sure that we bring people with us so that everybody gets a fair crack of the whip.
What would you do differently? I mean, the big issues that would contrast your party, the United Progress Party, with Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party?
Corbyn's Labour Party is stuck in an era of everything being about tax and spend. And of course, taxes have a central role to play, but it's also about encouraging people. Every economist would agree that you can make people's behaviour change with tax incentives as well as by taxing and spending. So if you encourage good practice in businesses, if you encourage people as well through sensible taxation programmes to pull their weight, join in, take part, then it doesn't all have to be done through tax and spend. You can actually, let's say, have a business where if they pay people fairly, if they pay everyone the living wage and nobody more than 10 times the living wage, then they get that low corporation tax that gives them a chance to grow. And it's policies like that which we need for the 21st century. So
you would have a ceiling on everyone's salary, whether they're in the public sector or the private sector?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch what you said there.
You would advocate a ceiling on everyone's salary, whether they're in the private or the public sector?
I wouldn't necessarily say that it has to be a mandatory ceiling. It's about encouragement. So if you say to a company, OK, you can have the ordinary rate of corporation tax, but if you do this, then you get this low rate of corporation tax, then people and businesses can choose. And it wouldn't be long before investors would start to say to directors, well, why aren't you doing that? And in fact, BlackRock are already asking companies, why is this executive pay so disproportionate? And so if you actually had a policy that encouraged businesses to take up a voluntary low corporation tax if they abide by that, you can really start to see some change.
That's an interesting idea. So you would reward companies that reflect your policies if they decided they would bring in a more equitable salary structure. You'd reward them with a favourable corporation tax.
Yes, it's about incentives rather than compulsion.
What chances, though, of your political party, Flora Page? You're a lawyer. You're a clever lawyer. Your mother was a Labour councillor, I think, in Islington some years ago. Right. So you've got a long heritage and history with the Labour Party. The history, though, of new political parties is not good. Think the SDP back in the 1980s, backed by the likes of Shirley Williams, Roy Jenkins, a former Chancellor, David Owen, a former Foreign Secretary. They tried and failed to break the mould and failed. How can you succeed where they didn't?
It seems to me that the Labour Party was a fine institution, an institution that rose in the 20th century. And it was the party of the 20th century. It was the party that stood firm alongside Churchill during the war. It was the party that rebuilt this great nation after the war. But it's had its day. And just as the Liberal Party had its day before the Labour Party, it seems to me that the Labour Party is no longer the party for the 21st century. What chance does my party have? Well, any small party in a first past the post system has to start small. It has to start in a constituency. And that's where UKIP, of course, have obviously gone wrong, and why they've failed to get their enormous popular vote into Westminster, because they're spread so thinly. If we start in one place and we see how we get on there, then we'll take it from there.
Because you're based in the Islington South constituency, and I think the MP there is Emily Thornberry, the Shadow Foreign Secretary, the next door neighbour of Jeremy Corbyn. Is that where you will fight a general election, or will you be fighting also in the London council elections in the Borough of Islington?
No, we're going to focus just on the next general election, whenever that may be. And yes, it will be in Emily Thornberry's constituency.
Do you think she's a good local MP?
She's a campaigner on local issues, and there would be many people who would say that she's got a good track record on local issues. But when it comes to her position nationally, that's a great deal less clear.
And are you putting yourself forward as the candidate, or is it that's a matter for the party as and when it develops and grows?
It will be a matter for the party.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question. How many members have you got? I know you've only just started.
Yes, we have only just started, and I'll be totally honest with you. We've started with 20, but we'll grow from here, I'm sure.
All right, well, that's Flora Page. Just to remind you, you're called the United Progress Party, and you are going to be launched with the Electoral Commission, and you will be there as a fighting force in the next general election.
That's right. We'll be registering as soon as we can.
All right, thank you for joining us, Flora Page.